This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel for the third time on a Monday. My goodness, what am I up to? A whole bunch of nothing. It's snowing here in southern Alberta. We're supposed to get like 25, 45 centimeters of snow. Who knows? It'll be there by morning. We'll find out when I get to go to work at 6:30 in the morning instead of regular 7:25. All right, shoveling aside. The Oilers, according to Elliotte Friedman, are in on two UFA defensemen out there that I didn't mention in the video yesterday. Well, that still matches up with what Mr. Ken Holland and what Bob Satuffer is thinking Mr. Ken Holland is doing. So you've got a couple of defensemen here in Ben Hutton and Slater Koekkoek, apparently, that the Edmonton Oilers are seriously taking a look at. Both left-hand shot defensemen. Both guys that played on teams the Oilers saw a lot of last year, whether it be the Blackhawks or whether it be the LA Kings. So let's get to this. Let's go check out Slater Koekkoek. Actually, this is Ben Hutton first. All right, I thought I had it reversed. Let's go check out Slater Koekkoek first because I have the rest of the stats elsewhere. So Koekkoek has played pretty much half his career in Tampa and half of his games in Chicago. Is now sitting around the 26-year-old mark. And, well, he's looking for a contract. Could be a PTO candidate. Could just be signed by the Edmonton Oilers, depending what they decide to do with Ethan Bear and that Clefbaum LTIR money. He had 10 points, his career high in 42 games this past season. Played a total of 16 minutes and 45 seconds per game on the ice, by far the highest of his career compared to those 3 games early in his career in 14-15. But he's a guy who's come in and played a lot of games all of a sudden in the past couple of seasons, looking good from Tampa to Chicago. And he's 6'2", 293, so not overly the big guy, but still a pretty big guy out there on the back end. A 10th overall pick in 2012 is Slater Koekkoek. And a guy that, well, yeah, I can tell you all the fancy stats, or I can just tell you that he absolutely raked it up during the series against the Oilers. It felt like every time that guy shot the puck, it somehow found the back of the net, whether it be tipped, whether it be that, whether it be a scramble, whatever. When Koekkoek and Mata were on the ice, it just seemed impending disaster for the Oilers in the playoffs, and I still don't really feel like talking about it too much. That said, a guy that realistically didn't move the needle much elsewhere other than that Oilers series, in my opinion, but still a guy that would be very valuable as your 6th, 7th defenseman if that's where you're to use him, which is what the Oilers are rumored to be using him as. So Koekkoek, that's what you need to know there. That's what needs to be made sense of, is a guy that very much so fits that bill of the 6'7" defenseman. Now, Ben Hutton as well, a guy coming in at 27 years old, 16 points in 65 games last season. +5 on the year. I'm not really going to read too much of that. Actually, I should read a lot. LA wasn't a very good team, so I should read a lot into that. 18 minutes average time on ice last season. Okay, good, but actually a dip compared to most of his career averages. His worst time on ice of his career coming out of the couple of years in Vancouver. And a guy who's steadily put up 15-plus points in almost every season except for the 17-18 year. Which, if we're counting as Oilers fans, was a one-off year. So Ben Hutton having an off year that year, and he wants to come play for the Oilers. Oh, it's all forgiven right there. But you get where I'm going. A guy who historically hasn't had the prettiest shooting percentage by any means. Still puts up 100 shots a season, but does not hit the net very much. In total shot attempts, he's only hitting the net about half the time on his shot attempts. So that's another, again, we need defensemen that are going to hit the net. And a guy who doesn't hit the body quite as much. So let's go check Koekkoek's stats here. Koekkoek's stats, he's a guy who throws more than a hit per game. Ben Hutton, a guy who throws less than a hit per game on the back end. That said, though, for both of them, if you're going to sit there and argue about anything, is the fact that, yeah, you know what, end of the day, they're not getting paid to be number 1 defenseman, number 2 defenseman, number 3 defenseman, or number 4 defenseman. They're in there on the 6th side, on the left side, to either Barry Larson or Ethan Bear's left-hand position. So, okay, fine, dandy. These are two guys that very well fit that bill that I think Bob Satuffer was talking about. Now they're rumored by Elliotte Friedman, and they fit the bill of what Ken Holland is looking for. But again, the bigger question here is how the Ethan Bear situation wraps up, when it wraps up, and how you fit these guys in under the cap, and how you fit these guys into training camp, right? Obviously, the Oilers are going to probably have, by my numbers, 10 defensemen at training camp, depending. I haven't seen straight up what's going on with Markus Niemelainen. I know Bob Satuffer tweeted about who's staying in Europe, but I haven't seen anything on Niemelainen, whether it be the European vacation for him the rest of the season or whether he be here in North America for training camp. So you know there's going to be 6 minimum on the roster. Bear, Larson, Barry, Jones, Russell, and of course Nurse. Great gold, great. Defense-wise, you've got Lundstrom, you've got Bouchard, like I said, Niemelainen, where's he, and William Lagesson. So you're probably looking at 9 or 10. So if it's only 9, you can probably afford to bring in, if you're bringing in all 5 goalies, you're probably bringing in, okay, so that's 16, you're bringing in 20 forwards. Yeah, you can afford to have a total of 11 defensemen at camp. And whether Niemelainen be there or not, that leaves you room for 1 or 2 PTOs. Or if you don't bring Niemelainen in and sign a guy, that also leaves you room for another PTO on the back end. So that's where we get into this. We'll start talking about that a little bit more, but I'm not going to talk about tryouts and stuff like that until we get information on Ethan Bear. Everything is kind of on pause until A, we get a trade, A, we get Clefbaum on LTIR. My whole system of how this was supposed to work is all screwed up because I expected bing, bang, boom, the Oilers would clean everything up all one day, all one move. But here we are now sitting and waiting. And I know, yes, I've heard from you guys in the comments already this evening, patience. But this wasn't supposed to be something we had to be patient about. This was supposed to be something that was tidily taken care of. And that's the frustrating part to me. But end of the day, now, you know what? This pushes everything else back. This pushes the timeline back when realistically the timeline is, hey, we got to go ahead and start getting this done, right? The timeline was supposed to be done and dealt with now. So this is where it's going to get a little bit frustrating as time and things cramp up. Here we've got 21st, 23rd. Don't expect news the 24th or 25th. And then, of course, the World Juniors and trying to stream that and all that. So it's going to be an absolute wreck-it-up Christmas holiday. But, hey, you know what? I'm here for it. It's going to get done. We're going to get into the new year. We're going to go to training camp. Then we're going to get to hockey January 13th. That's all I got to look forward to. But at least, again, you know what? Yesterday, Bob Satuffer says, hey, look for a 6'7 defenseman. Elliotte Friedman saying, hey, here are 2 guys that could be your 6'7 defenseman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. I'm gassed. You know what? I just shoveled half the crescent in my neighborhood. I'm gassed. It's bedtime. It's going to be an early morning to get to work tomorrow. If you're looking at that forecast for southern Alberta, you best send your best wishes my way to get through the snowstorm. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm up on out of here.